Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Dizzy University 587 and it says, am I wrong for treating this as breakup worthy? Partner intentionally hid my laptop out of spite. Just to let you know before we do get started into this post has several parts to it. Some parts that you may have heard in other places before, but there is a new update to it as well. So if you do want to skip parts of the story, timestamps are always down in that description along the timeline below. Thank you. It says, this is a throwaway account. So in context, my partner, late 20s female, and I, late 20s female, have been together 7 years. We've had periods of breaking up and getting back together. We recently moved in together after a long period of what felt like stability and growth. But since the moving in process and moving in, there's been a lot of strife and fighting. Some of it old problems coming back up, and some of it new issues. One recurring problem is my partner struggles with organization and will put her things such as clothes, accessories, etc. in piles in a specific but non-designated place for those things. For example, putting a pile of clothes and jewelry on the couch or entryway table. When I or she accidentally moves these items, usually due to needing to use that space for its intended purpose or some other purpose, it becomes a huge problem. She gets frustrated and overwhelmed quickly. Has wanted me to drop what I'm doing to look for it, with an undercurrent of it being my fault it's misplaced and my responsibility to find it. Which makes me not want to help anymore, and half the time it ends up in a fight. It's exhausting. We're still in the process of unpacking and settling in, and right now one of our bathrooms is filled with storage. She put a stack of her clothes, including a hat, on top of the storage items. I needed to get those items to organize the house, and I did my best to put her things together. I don't recall moving the hat. Cue breakfast time. We're having a fine morning and chatting and everything is good. She's getting dressed and goes to get her hat, which is not where she remembers putting it. Immediately, she's upset with me, telling me I need to stop touching her stuff and how I always do this, and she is agitated and frustrated. I tell her calmly but firmly that I have no intention of moving her things. But if I need to get to the storage, I will simply have to touch her stuff, and that it probably fell behind some things and to keep looking because I know she will find it. She didn't want to hear that. She became increasingly more upset, talking at me, stormed around criticizing me instead of actively looking, and I lost my patience and left on a walk in the middle of her talking. Fast forward to that afternoon. Partner is not home. I'm looking around for my laptop. I have finals due the next day and I need to start working. Keep in mind I do have another laptop that I just bought to replace my old one, but I hadn't set it up yet. And to manage my fickle ADHD motivation, I was going to use setting up my computer as a reward for completing my finals on my old laptop. I can't find my laptop anywhere. It's not in the place I always leave it. My gut immediately says that she took it or moved it, but I decided to look around first to make sure I didn't miss anything. I look everywhere. I text her, did you take my laptop with you? She takes a while to text back, no, I don't have your laptop. I ask if she's seen it and she can check her iCloud since it used to be connected. No, it's been disconnected for a while. I text again, okay, so have you seen it? No reply. I'm now 95% convinced she's lying to me, but I didn't want to believe that she would actually do this. She comes home in the evening. I ask again about my laptop. She sits on the couch, not looking at me, focusing on something else while I'm asking to talk to her about it. She chortles at my suggestion that the only other logical option, if you don't have it and it's not in the apartment, is that it's stolen. We live in a building. I keep pressing her and she says offhandedly, I don't know, did you check that closet? She walks over to the closet to put away her jacket and I walk over to watch her, suspecting she would pull it out of her bag or something. I didn't see her move anything and I ask, why would you suggest that closet specifically? This goes on for a few more minutes with her smiling smugly and snickering, and I'm getting increasingly upset. She's telling me she's too busy to help me find my laptop by answering my questions. Finally, I walk over again to the closet, the tiniest piece of doubt wondering if maybe I didn't check it fully. And lo and behold, it's sitting right there on top of some jackets. The same jackets I completely pulled out of the closet while digging through to find my laptop. And it wasn't there before. I absolutely lose it. I'm livid. I'm yelling at her that she is weird and that was cruel, disgusting behavior. I tell her I don't want to be in a relationship with her, and I do not want to be in a relationship like this. Once I say that, she doubles down since I broke up with her, and just proceeds to dismiss that it's just a computer and it's not that serious, and was attempting still to make it seem like it was there in the closet the whole time. Turns out she hid it on the top shelf, the only place in this entire apartment I didn't check. She still has not apologized, and she has no reason to since we're broken up. Her response and the whole situation made me feel sick to my stomach. I absolutely hate pranks. She knows this, and this wasn't even a prank. She basically admitted to doing this because she was pissed at me for losing her hat. Mind you, I found her damn hat while looking for her laptop, exactly where I said it would be. This feels extremely serious to me. It doesn't feel like a petty little act. It feels disrespectful, like a breach of my privacy in our shared space, and genuinely cruel. I told her I don't think you can care for someone and love them and do something like this, intentionally cause them distress, confusion, and harm. I cannot fathom how she thought this would play out. The whole process of breaking up is daunting, and I historically have not been good at maintaining my boundaries and my resolve when breaking up in the past. I initiated, but we were both expressing unhappiness. We live together now, and while the apartment is spacious, it is challenging to split up rooms. Only one bed, and the other room is still being used as storage. And finding a new apartment is even more challenging with financial constraints, having just moved so recently. I've been feeling a lot of frustration with our dynamics aside from this situation, as has she. I love her a lot, but I'm at my wit's end. I don't know if things will get better or if we are doomed. We've tried couples counseling again recently, and it didn't go well. Partner was shut down, and I didn't like the therapist. Our communication is not improving. I need advice on how to move forward in this situation. Opie then added some information about her finals and clarified some details as well. Opie said I, female, definitely told her about my finals. She was well aware. Probably justified it with herself by saying I do have another laptop, the unopened one, but she knew how important it was. A commenter who was downvoted replied to OP saying, then you had another laptop. She made you feel how she's felt many times just in a single day. It doesn't matter how important her things are to you, or if you think they're unimportant. They're important to her and you should respect that. You didn't, and she took matters into her own hands. You both suck here. No pity from me. Opie says for clarity, if someone accidentally moved a pile of things you left somewhere to get to storage underneath, and something on that pile fell off into the storage area without them realizing before they put the pile back in the same spot, and then you couldn't find one of your items, you would think it's justified to take one of their personal belongings and hide it from them to make them feel how you felt. Opie then responds to that same commenter about her ADHD and communicating issues with her girlfriend, and then says, thanks for this reply. I definitely own that I have verbally and non-verbally expressed judgment about how the way she organizes her things being wrong. I have ADHD. She doesn't, but she has identified with autistic traits. No diagnosis. Obviously, there's a lot of overlap with ADHD traits. I have issues with this. Do I think this could have been prevented if you approached it better and made an effort to communicate fully and consider your girlfriend's perspective without judgment, objectively? And says you're telling me, objectively, I could have prevented her from hiding my laptop and gaslighting me if I just approached her better. I've tried to approach this topic in many ways, even before we moved in together. I've made a conscious effort to tell her where I move things and to keep things where they are. When a mistake was made, where there is no actual proof that I made it, other than me taking responsibility for moving storage items, she did something intentionally hurtful and harmful to me. What about her approach? She's also dating me, and I am also a person. A commenter says to OP, quoting, and that it probably fell behind some things and to keep looking because I know she will find it. Also says, mind you, I found her damn hat while looking for my laptop, exactly where I said it would be. And then says, so, did you know exactly where the hat was or not? Sounds like the pot calling the kettle black, but you can break up for whatever reason you want. OP says, I didn't know where the hat was, no. I knew where a pile of clothes was in the storage area, and I did my best to keep everything together and put it back where I found it when I needed to get things underneath. Everything was stacked haphazardly. I didn't realize the hat was missing or even that it specifically was there until she was looking for a black hat and I remembered something black. I genuinely don't know if I was the one who moved it. It's not a low traffic area. I found the hat because I completely emptied the storage area and reorganized it in the process of looking for my laptop, and it was at the bottom of the stuff. I guess this is the feedback I'm curious about because I'm really resistant to being told that I need to drop everything to help my partner, or anyone, find something before she's looked herself. It wasn't like she had searched extensively and I watched carelessly. There was less than a minute of looking before the blame started. It feels to me like weaponized incompetence, and that triggers me. I know this stems from my experiences growing up, where enmeshed family has turned a missing item or any other personal problem into a level 10 emergency that they need someone else to solve. And I was often the one to find it or try and fix it because 1, I have large patience, and 2, I have a large need to please. So it was 3 days later that OP came in with an update and said, a female, late 20s, posted a few days ago about my partner, female, late 20s, hiding my laptop in revenge for me accidentally misplacing a hat, allegedly, and me breaking up with her for it. An update. I've been avoiding speaking to her, sleeping on the couch, getting my affairs in order quietly. She's been finding ways to try and rage bait me. Last night at 2 a.m, she comes to the living room where I'm sleeping to ask where I put my rose toy. If you know, you know. I put it away because it's mine. It was always meant to be my personal toy, but she took quasi-ownership of it, and I simply don't want her using it anymore. She proceeds to harass me for 40 minutes straight to tell her where it is, to please give it to her, and that she just needs it to sleep. As she disrupts my sleep, I had to lock myself in the bathroom twice because she wouldn't respect me telling her to leave me alone and kept coming back. At the end of this tirade, she asks, "When are you leaving for holiday trip?" I tell her I don't know and to please leave me alone and let me sleep. No, I just need to know when you're going to be gone for an extended period of time because I just need to know, implying she needs to know when I'll be gone so she can get her rocks off with someone else in the house. I didn't get to sleep until after 3 a.m. She gets up at 7:30 a.m. She never gets up this early. Comes to the living room loudly, tries to hug me. I was sleeping. I tell her, please do not touch me. She says, really? How long are we going to do this for? I pull the covers over my face and try to ignore her and stay calm. She pulls them off my face to ask me a question. She proceeds to turn on all the lights, even though it is already bright. She blends something for, no exaggeration, 20 minutes straight. She stomps around, slams doors, loudly rummages through items. I stay under the covers and just contain my energy. Before she leaves, she again tries to hug me after I told her multiple times to please not touch me. She forces a kiss on my head and says, I love you, and again asks how long we're going to do this. Finally, she leaves for the day. When I get up, I see that she turned the heater in the living room up to 86 degrees from 70 degrees to make me hot and uncomfortable. We have pets. I just wanted to update because I needed to hear how messed up, manipulative, and abusive it is. And I just want to witness myself by writing this down and be witnessed by others. I can't wait to get myself out of here. One of the top commenters said to OP, when you get out, please take the pets with you. I wouldn't trust her to take care of them or to not hurt them out of spite. OP says, unfortunately, some of the pets are hers. Mine are coming with me. Commenter says, once you see this side of someone, it makes you wonder what you ever saw in them in the first place, doesn't it? Commenter says, stand your ground. Don't let this awful person love bomb or manipulate you in any way. Proud of you for following through. The abuse in this situation escalating is pretty horrific, and it happens like really quickly at the same time. You know, the 2 a.m. harassment should be enough in itself, right? But then you got like the forced physical contact after already clearly being told no, to trying to deprive OP of sleep with the noises and cranking the heat up to 86 with pets in the house as well. This isn't someone that's heartbroken. It's just abusive behavior. That's all there is to it. And it always makes me think, when we see relationships like this, I wonder what other signs there was in the past, you know. I wonder what OP may have brushed under the carpet, you know, because for whatever reason, maybe her partner was good at just convincing her otherwise, right? But OP comes in with another update and says, after this post, I may have to switch to posting in r/abusive relationships. I am abundantly clear now that it was indeed more than breakup worthy. I started reading Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft, by the way. Great book, always suggested in these posts. If you haven't read it, got a chance to do so, give it a go. After a couple of recommendations, a book that I circled around for years but subconsciously avoided to protect my own denial. This relationship has been nothing but abusive. I feel like a veil has been lifted, a bubble burst, and I'm so grateful for this clarity, although it comes at a high emotional cost. I'm still getting things in order. I feel that she will find these posts, if she hasn't already, because she knows how much I use Reddit and could find it with keywords. I don't know if it matters though, as she just read my journal. I wrote extensively about all her instances of abuse for my own records. While I was on a walk, I meant to bring it with me, but I left in a rush and was disorientated. When I returned, she said something that made it clear to me that she read my journal. She has done this before, knowing that my journals are sacred to me. I stated, I assume you read my journal. She proceeded to verbally abuse me for over 30 minutes, calling me insane, mocked me repeatedly about the journal, called me all kinds of names. When I ignored her, she got in my face, banging on the table to get my attention, and tried to pull my headphones off. I have receipts of most of this tirade. This is after 2 nights straight of her blasting music to continue to disturb my sleep. Last night she played the same song over and over again from 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. A song by someone who she was romantically interested in and almost hooked up with, like Jan from The Office. It would be funny if it wasn't so wicked. I lost my patience last night and banged on the door and yelled at her to put on headphones. She wanted me to do this because now she's saying I've been harassing and abusing her. Classic. There was maybe a 15-minute break and she started the same song up again at 9:30. Screaming, singing, stomping, slamming, etc. My family is coming to get me and pets, and I'll be away and safe for a little while. I want to extend a sincere thank you to everyone who's commented and asked for updates. I have anxieties about these posts being up, but it is cathartic to write them, and it helps me hold myself accountable, and be held accountable, and strengthen my resolve. Commander says to OP, so glad you're leaving. I only wish you'd be able to get away from her sooner. I assume at the very least, now she's trying to love bomb you between hours of screaming like she thinks there is a coming back from this. Commodore says, once you're gone, it's in your best interest to change your phone number and change all passwords, if you can, and it's not too intensely difficult. I'd even create a new email, just to make sure she can't access anything of yours to fuck you up. Also make sure your credit is locked down, and make sure that the first thing that leaves your apartment is your important paperwork, such as a birth certificate, social security card, passport, things like that. Make sure that there's somewhere safe where she can't get them. Whether that's in the car's glove box or what have you. Protect yourself and best wishes. A bit over a month later, OP added another post said, broke up with ex who I lived with 5 weeks ago. Today I found evidence of her having sex with someone else. I was in a relationship with someone for 7 years and that has ended horribly about 5 weeks ago. See my post history. We're on a lease together for 2 more days. I broke the lease and made my plan to leave. I move into my new apartment in 2 days. I'm packing by myself while working 50 hours a week, overnights, and going to school on the weekends. I'm so proud of myself for leaving, but today I feel absolutely crushed. My ex was out last night in the building we live in. I know that because she left wearing slippers and I live in one of the areas where the snowstorm hit. She didn't come back to the apartment until after 5 a.m, which is when I went to bed after packing all night. Today, as I'm looking for something of mine in a bag of sex toys we once shared, we're 2 women, I realized the bag was recently moved, within the past 2 days. I found it hidden under her clothes. It was visible but still clearly intentionally concealed, and in there was physical evidence of her having sex with someone else. I'll spare you the details, but it was gross. Hard evidence of what she'd been doing recently, and even worse is, I know she has been cheating throughout our entire relationship, though I can't prove it. I think I know exactly who she is hooking up with too. Someone flirty has brushed me off twice, pretending not to see me when I'm right in front of her face, even though we had 2 extended conversations for over 30 minutes each while our dogs were playing. This happened just today as my suspicions mounted, and everything came to light at once. Ex told me not to worry about her because she's totally not my type. I realized that this person who I convinced myself was kind and loving and occasionally cruel and angry and unloving due to trauma was really just a messed up, abusive, and narcissistic individual. I spent years in denial. When I had enough and broke up with her, I chose to go back and believe the lie that she had grown and changed and would love me better. Maybe it was days or weeks or months later, but she reeled me back in and I chose to go back. I blamed myself for years. I didn't believe I deserved better. My denial was strong. Maybe if I'm more supportive and gentle, she'd feel more loved and wouldn't be so angry with me. Maybe if I can get my family to understand their trauma and pain, they can overlook how badly she treats everyone around her. Maybe it's my fault she treats me like this and I can find a way to change it. Change her. This heartbreak is devastating. I feel betrayed, discarded, disgusted, sad. I know she is not, was not, and will never be a loving partner to me, or maybe anyone. Yet my heart feels such a profound loss. For weeks I suspected she was finding a new supply, and I knew it in my gut. But seeing the evidence made it gut-wrenchingly real. And there's nothing to do with the pain except to feel it, and finally take care of and love myself. Thank you for reading this long text. If you made it all the way through, I'm just hoping to share this and feel a little less alone. So OP comes in with what they're saying is potentially their final update. And said, I think it's time for my probably final update on the situation. 2 weeks ago, I officially moved out and into my own apartment. I left with all of my stuff. I started a new job that pays me very well. I've been spending time with friends and family. I'm safe and in a much better place. The past couple of months, I've seen my relationship with my ex clearly and truthfully, thanks to some input and DMs from fellow Redditors. I've done a ton of research into narcissistic personality disorder and narcissistic abuse and have realized that my ex is a narcissist, and I've been in the cycle of narcissistic abuse for years. The more I read into it, the more I see how textbook her behavior was, and it makes me feel a strange combination of validated and embarrassed. Validated that I see I'm not alone in this experience, and embarrassed that for all the research I've done into personality disorders and mental illness, I've dated people with APD and BPD in the past. I never once considered that she could have NPD. I was in denial and did not once look into it. Now, I know better. For a few months prior to our breakup, I occasionally wondered if she was cheating on me, which is an issue I don't usually feel insecure or worry about. Now I know that she definitely was cheating, and she has already found a new supply in someone who lived in the same building as us. I found gross evidence to support my intuition. I realized that her hiding my laptop was a part of her discarding me, as she already determined, whether consciously or not, that I was no longer a viable supply for her, being that I was focusing on my wants and needs and working on my codependency. Shout out to CODA, C-O-D-A, going to school and setting and upholding boundaries. She historically would treat me terribly for weeks to months until we reached a breaking point and I broke up with her. Then she would play victim and say how I abandoned her. This was her flavor of discard, getting me to do the work for her as usual. When we got back together, she would hold that over my head as though me breaking up with her happened in a vacuum. It's devastating to realize this person I was so in love with for 7 years never truly loved me. She loved me the way one loves a useful object the best, but I'm proud that her final discard came about because, without fully realizing, I finally showed her that I loved myself more than I loved her or our relationship. And that's a win. She has already and will continue to jump from relationship to relationship, supply to supply, and that's a reflection of her broken personality. I've only ever been in one other long-term relationship, and when I was done with him, I was done. No going back, no rekindling. I feel how I did then. A part of me is scared that the other shoe will drop and some latent, traitorous attachment to her, and that trauma bond will make me weak and vulnerable to her hoovering her way back into my life or someone like her. But I'm taking it day by day, and I trust myself more than ever to protect myself. I will be staying single for as long as I need, probably a long time, and will not be dating. And I feel good about that. I'm genuinely scared to date again, and I think that is a sensible thing to feel. I'm really glad that I posted here all those days ago. It helped me to validate my own feelings and actualize my outrage. I'm grateful to everyone who took the time to respond, offer advice and support, and ask for updates. I never have to deal with that wench again. And the top commenter said to OP on this one, I'm so glad to hear that you got out of that situation safely and that you're doing well. I'd really urge you to go to therapy to process all this and work on yourself and your self-esteem. Long-term relationships with people that have personality disorders really leave a mark and affect self-worth and confidence very negatively. People that attract narcissists or borderlines tend to struggle with boundaries and people-pleasing. I hope you break the pattern. All the best to you. Hope he says, I appreciate that. Have a great therapist and will continue doing this work with them. Definitely part of why I'm not a complete mess right now. And at the end of this, all I can say is thank goodness OP got out of that situation. 7 years, that's a long time to be dealing with that. And I can't imagine what else was in there. I can only think that there was a lot within that 7 years that OP has dealt with. But like we say and we see and we've read before, it's not easy to get yourself out of these relationships when something like this has been normalized to you. Sure, for me, anyone listening, anyone reading this, you can say immediately after the first situation about the laptop, you say, just leave that person. No partner should be doing this to another, hiding their laptop, especially during finals, right? That's an automatic red flag and run. But, when you're in that situation, this kind of behavior is kind of slowly escalated to this point, become normal. It's not that easy, is it? But the growth from OP in this one post is absolutely fantastic. The fact that she left, found a new place, started a new job, and is working on herself as well. We covered her story the other day and they called it a full glow up. And I really like that. And also recognizing, your own patterns, your own people pleasing and codependency and, the going back. But OP's doing something about it. And not to be a downer or take away from OP or anything like that. But I always think of, the ex, she's still in the same building. She's moved on to someone else. And likely that cycle is going to continue with someone else. OP's escaped, but somebody else just walked straight into it, which I just find absolutely terrifying. But good on OP. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the story, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the window.